very spectacular episode of Gone with the Wind.
I made myself laugh. Listen, I can do. Okay, I'm trying to get into the Halloween spirit over here, guys, and I can't do it because I make myself. This is Gone with the Wind.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
Welcome, my children. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gone with the Wind, the award show about award show. I'm just going back to my normal voice. This is the show about award shows where I am your host, Manning Franks, here with an esteemed panel of Oscar aficionados. Today we have Malcolm, the Crypt Keeper Lay.
Hello, I'm not going to put on a crazy voice.
You're not even going to get into the spirit? Not at all? Nothing? Okay. All right. And Abe, who am I introducing today?
You motherfucker. I don't know, Manny.
I put them all on the spot beforehand, and I feel bad now.
Hi, how are you doing, everybody?
And we have Ryan, or
I was a blind referee this Halloween. That just shows you how much work goes into this process.
Oh, I am going for work. I literally just got the vampire fangs, and I'm calling it a day at work because I may have jury duty on the 31st. So we're gonna find out.
Hey,
yeah.
Federal or state?
State.
That kind of sucks. But
yeah,
not as much as federal. Or it's not as fun as federal, but it'll still be okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And I am manning the Michael Myers Franks because the alliteration, everybody. And even though I'm not going as Michael Myers whatsoever. Abe, you gonna say something?
I can give you my Twitter handle for Halloween. It's Happy 8th. I don't know how you pronounce it. To you for the movie. Have you watched it?
Oh, happy Death Day to you. I haven't. I've never seen the second. Only the first one, which I thought was actually fun. I had a fun time with that one. Comparison to everything else that's going around here, horror wise. But speaking of Halloween and horror, this is a special, spooky, spectacular episode, as you heard with my attempted witch's voice, which I will not do again. And if it sold your ears, I apologize for that. I couldn't think of anything else on the spot, and that's what came out, and I am so sorry. I write a personal apology to each of you, handwritten note with lots of love. Just kidding. I don't have time for that. I have no life. I mean, I have no time because I have no life. But this week, before we get into that, we all watched a particular movie, and before we get into discussing that particular movie with a resurgence of a popular comedic actor, what did we watch this week? Be it horror or not. So, Malcolm, what did you see this week, Mr. Crypt Keeper?
Yeah, I watched The Laundromat. That was on Netflix. I thought it was a fine movie. Meryl Streep was great as always. I do have to plan on me watching it at some stage because I kind of fell asleep halfway through it. But that's only because I tried watching it late at night when I was in bed. So, I also watched for the first time the King of Comedy. So,
what do you think?
Smart choice.
I thought it was a fun movie. Well,
it was a
fun movie, so to speak. So it's a good movie.
All right, cool. Anything for a spooky, or is that the spookiest you got this?
I actually haven't watched any spooky stuff.
Well, okay then. Abe, have you seen anything spooky this week? Abe, have you seen anything spooky this week?
I think he's frozen.
Abe, Abe?
I see his eyes moving.
Hey, we're having technical issues. So while Abe figures that out, can he not hear me?
Hear you.
You can't hear us. That's not good.
No, I can.
You can?
I can.
Oh,
I-C-A-N.
Then what did I then what did you see this week?
Oh yeah, I didn't hear that part. You broke
Okay. Go on.
Oh, what? You know what I watched? I watched The Lighthouse. which I have to be honest, I could not understand 80% of it. Like the dialogue.
Really?
Yeah, those accents are way too thick for me. Like I just could. However, I have to say I was really entertained by it. It's I think it's about 110 minutes, and I think William Dafoe is incredible in the movie. He's scary. You're wondering the whole time. As also Robert Pattinson, he's really good. You know, I think this is the first Robert Pattinson movie that it's not Twilight that I've seen. Oh well, Harry Potter. And I was really entertained. I don't think I think the cinematography is incredible. The black and white. I think it was shot like it was intended to be seen as black and white, and it was great. I think the sound design and editing were really good. And also, I don't know, have any of you watched it?
It's not playing anywhere near me, sadly.
Okay, it reminded me of the Shape of Water for one scene. I will not comment it up. If anyone that has seen it, listen to it, they'll know what I'm talking about. And well, I watched Dolemite. Oh, and you know what I caught? I watched Late Night, which was really, really good. I really liked it. I really like Emma Thompson in it. She's one of my favorite actors. So, pretty good movie.
All right. And Ryan, what'd you see?
Does the 43rd Canadian general election count as spooky?
I guess depending on who you are, yes, in a way, it does.
No. For context, people, between the election last week and just massive chaos at work, I have watched almost nothing except for a large portion of the movie that we're going to be reviewing today.
Good. That's
despite my intentions to see The Lighthouse and Judy and other things. Lucy in the Sky, which is also apparently playing, and I didn't even realize that was out. But hey, didn't see anything. Maybe I'll see some stuff on Saturday. Maybe.
Listen, that is okay. I totally forgot Lucy in the Sky existed, so thank you for that reminder.
You know, that played at theater like a month ago. And I say, nah.
Which is not giving me very much hope for my very pathetic long shot prediction.
Oh, no, but I didn't watch it.
But like, if Natalie Portman making it into Best Actress?
Yeah. No.
I don't think
Probably
that's happening
not
anymore, Ryan. I'm sorry. And for me, don't worry. I watched nothing. There's literally nothing out in theaters that I really care about unless I want to go watch Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which... if I made time, I could, but I don't. I really don't. I don't.
Why?
Because I host a podcast. That's why. That's the only reason I would go. Because I don't really care enough about to see stuff like that. However, I did, other than the movie we watched tonight, I basically binge watch. For those of you who know, I'm trying to diversify what I watch. I rewatched Your Name again just because I felt like it, and it's still amazing. Everyone go watch that again. It's beautiful.
He cut out?
He's got another movie coming out this year.
I know, Weathering with You, which trailer is also gonna make me cry. I can already tell it now. And what else? I finished the anime Demon Slayer. Super excited about that. And I rewatched the Babadook, which is fantastic. As always,
list of movies.
It is. You know what? I thought, why not? Why not? Because
actually, the whole list of movies that we watched, or that you three watched, I should say.
I mean,
were pretty cool.
Considering, I mean, well, yours was like a whole day feature, if you count.
I mean, if you count it, yeah, I guess.
That's a thing. But yeah, considering all those, we watched those. Highly recommend most of. No, maybe like some of these. The ones I watched, I recommend at least. I will also now transition us into a less spooky topic, and that is our movie we've been talking about, the release on Netflix this past week. And that, or I guess the previous week from when you're listening to this, that is Dolemite Is My Name, starring Eddie Murphy. Now, a while back, I believe it was Jonathan Peck, was it? Who told us, hey guys, are you going to watch, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you going to watch or react or talked about to the trailer, Dolemite Is My Name? And we all said, no, we're not going to worry about that. That doesn't look like anything. Here we go. Apparently, it's well loved by people who have seen it and boasts a high rating on Rotten Tomatoes or higher rating. And it's so far, from what I've heard from the Academy, the Governor's Award specifically, They're eating up Eddie Murphy. They brought him up on stage for the Governor's Awards. Jamie Foxx did, just to give him a congratulatory applause. And people are really enjoying this, which begs me the question a little later. Could this be Eddie Murphy's vehicle to anything above a Golden Globe for comedy musical Best Actor? However, before we get into that, let us discuss the movie real quick. And I will defer to Abe. Give us your quick thoughts on the movie Dolemite Is My Name. And this isn't like there isn't really any spoilers in this. There's no like plot twist. There's nothing that kind of like, comes out of nowhere. This is not the big discussion, so we won't spend too much time on it. So Abe, take us away.
Manny,
what?
To keep it low, I really, really like this movie.
Oh, okay.
I think it's in the days of love it, but I think it does, like, other than that, I think Eddie Murphy is phenomenal. Like, you're gonna miss him, like the charisma he has on screen, like it's well enjoyed by everybody, and it's no surprise he still has it. If you have it, you probably have it till the end of your days. But talking about the film, I really liked it because it's a feel-good movie. Like, even I felt good watching it. Like, I was watching it on my phone because, I'm not home. I'm on the phone, in an apartment without television, so it's hard to watch movies in a big screen. But I was playing Candy Crush while watching it, and then like at 10 minutes in, it grabbed me, and I just left it and watched the full-on movie the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I was really entertained by it. I think the whole cast is great. Like the sample they made, like I don't know how I think they call themselves something like a family or something. I don't know. I read something about it. Like the production company. What's the name of the production company? Well, whatever.
The one they make in the actual.
Yeah.
Give me a sec.
It has a name, but it's. I think it's a really wonderful movie. I think like the highlight of the movie is Eddie Murphy. I don't see any other Oscar chances, but I think we'll talk about that later.
Okay. I'm still looking at the moment. I'm just going to add. This movie is a roller. I'll go. This movie was a roller coaster for me personally, because when it first came on, I was very much like checked out. I was not engaged to it whatsoever. It wasn't until like halfway through the movie when they actually got to start making the picture did I actually become actively engaged into the story that was going on and the characters around me. And then Wesley Snipes got joined, and I couldn't stop laughing. I have not seen Wesley Snipes this good, but then again, I've only seen Wesley Snipes in Blade, to my knowledge. So I have a very limited idea of what he could do, and I was blown away. He nearly stole every scene he was on personally. And also it was a very well-rounded cast. I do agree with what you were saying there, Abe. The cast kind of plays off each other incredibly well. Eddie Murphy is just so charismatic. I could not look away most of the time when he and Wesley were on. I was not as enthralled with some of the humor. A little too raunchy for my taste, just for my personal comedy taste. And when the comedy is in a comedic movie is not working for you, it's not going to hit as all cylinders as it should. But that's more reflection upon me than it is the movie and where it delivers it. I honestly didn't know who Dolemite was before this movie. And again, that's a reflection upon me and what I grew up watching. Because this was definitely, it got its R rating, and I can definitely see where they were going with the pervasive language at the very beginning with what Netflix was warning me about. That being said, it's used incredibly well. I did not know he was considered the godfather of rap. It kind of signified what his little shtick at the beginning was going for, and I went through it. I think Craig Brewer did a great job directing this. It's a solid film, not one that I would go out and watch again, but one I'm like, I'm all for. This is a fun film. It's good. It's a good one. Malcolm, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. When I started watching this, I actually didn't know it was supposed to be a comedy. I thought it was just a biopic. And as a biopic, I thought it was good. If it's supposed to be a comedy, the comedy didn't work for me, and I don't think I ever laughed once.
Ooh.
But I mean, the biopic was interesting, and it's a little bit of a fun fact. When this came on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, they put the original Dolemite movie on. So,
which I probably should check out as reference just to know, because Apparently, I'm very uncultured in that regard. Go ahead, Malcolm.
I kind of finished my thoughts anyways.
Oh, okay. There we go. See, this is what's going to be a shorter and sweet discussion. All right, and Ryan.
So for
Jack-o'-lantern, that's easy.
what was that?
What? Did you hear that?
Yeah, it was playing on another website. Sorry.
I was about to say, do we have a ghost? Is a ghost haunting us today?
Ghost
No,
Jack-o'-lantern?
I opened a website and it was a Papa John's. So.
Oh, it's the ghost of Papa John's.
Yeah. It's
Great.
You know, this show is not sponsored for Pizza Papa John's, Jack-o'-lantern, large sauce, pizza.
Fuck Papa John's.
Whoa, strong words.
I'm kidding. It's fine.
I don't have any reference to Papa John's. I don't have any allegiance.
You never had Papa John's?
I don't have I said I don't have an allegiance. I've had Papa John's. I don't have an allegiance to Papa John's, so I don't care. Go ahead.
Anyways, so out of full disclosure, I saw about 2/3 of this movie. That was about as much as I was able to sneak in, and not all in one go. I snuck it in a couple sittings. And I'm really sorry. I will watch the rest of the movie. But I think that in terms of it being an award season contender, I think that that's an absolute no. That's a non-starter. Maybe the Golden Globes, just so that the Golden Globes can get Eddie Murphy. But otherwise, I like Mr. Church a few years ago. I just don't see this going anywhere, and Netflix has bigger fish to fry this year, especially. But I thought it was charming enough. It was, what have you. I think if you had a really deep cultural affinity for both this era of African American comedy and also a deep relationship with Eddie Murphy's work, I think that you might respond differently to this movie. For me, don't get me wrong, I love Coming to America as much as the next person. But most of my cultural ties to Eddie Murphy came from animated voices he did, and of course Dr. Dolittle, and that clearly is not his greatest work. And I try to pretend that The Nutty Professor didn't happen. So you get if that's your predominant point of reference for Eddie Murphy, I think that that a lot of people in my generation, or maybe just a lot of people, I guess in the circle that I run, maybe it is, but who knows. Anyways, outside of Coming to America, I don't really have a deep appreciation for Eddie Murphy's comedic prowess over the years. Obviously he's talented. I'm not taking anything away from the guy. But I think if you have a sort of nostalgic relationship for him, this movie will work better for you, I think. And he's certainly good in it. And I think he's certainly the reason why the 2/3 of a movie that I saw were decent, because the rest of it felt very much like that kind of blaxploitation pastiche that Tarantino does, except for just not done as well. And it's very reliant on this very magnetic central performance to kind of push its audience along. Or at least that was the take that I got from what I saw.
I was about to say, no love for Wesley Snipes.
No, I didn't. I mean, I think I saw very little of him, if I'm remembering correctly, and I was not terribly thrilled, but
he came about halfway through. So if that by 2/3, we literally just got a taste of him. That's the case.
Yeah, just a taste. Yeah,
because he has some great. They have a great scene where they're rehearsing, or filming the final scene of the movie, and he just kind of flamboyantly just kind of takes over the entire thing. And it was interesting seeing Wesley Snipes in this role, and I really appreciated that, which is why I was he kind of disappears. And because you have an idea of Wesley Snipes mostly behind the scenes nowadays in comparison to his actual characters he plays. And just also, I love, I love Craig Robinson. I love Keegan-Michael Key. I love I keep wanting to call him Titus Andromedon, but it's Titus Burgess from Kimmy Schmidt. So I think this is a really solid cast overall. However,
it did have a very strong cast. Yeah.
And it was very paint by numbers biopic from what I could see, with some great comedic elements. And again, I'm not familiar with blaxploitation filmography. That's not a subgenre that I regularly visited, even with Tarantino's work, not something that I actively sought out. However, I will add to this. I'm looking at Gold Derby right now. Eddie Murphy is 7 right now. He's in the hunt for the top 10.
Yeah, okay. He is on, and I looked this up. But like the people below him, I think that Taron Egerton has a way better chance. I think that Christian Bale, when Ford versus Ferrari comes out, will have a way better chance. Adam Sandler's only getting praise beyond praise for Uncut Gems. Honey Boy is supposed to be really good. Like, if you just scroll down the list, like the next 5 people just sound like they have a better chance.
That is true. I'm just looking at a consensus right now. It seems though he is at 7, just as a announcement toward people. So he does have a shot because his name is Eddie Murphy, and this is his first movie that he did, which I think that's pushing him towards. I would put him personally maybe at 9, switch him with Bale or something. I do think he's above Adam Sandler personally, because right now Eddie Murphy and Dolemite Is My Name is what I've been hearing around the Twitter sphere, not so much as Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems, which
but this one's out.
Yes. Which is why at the moment might see him go down, but at the moment he's gotten the buzz, and that's why I think Golden Globe comedy musical is his best shot. Because honestly, what is going to take that spot besides Once Upon a Time?
I mean,
are they going to dub that a comedy musical?
Yeah,
I guess they probably will.
They probably will.
They send it as a comedy musical. They did send it like that as preference. The studio did. I read the article about it.
Also, on that note, I think Jeff Schneider tweeted out that Matt Damon and Christian Bale are both being considered for lead actor for the Ferrari.
Which that's not what.
So that could shut Eddie Murphy out as well. So
that being said, I think that is worse for Christian Bale. Worse. I still think he's getting in personally, but I feel like that is going to hurt his chances because I don't think the split happens more often when you have 2 people in there, and I feel like it's gonna hurt. That hurts Damon's chances completely. Damon's not getting in.
Just imagine Eddie Murphy starts getting like some buzz, because there's buzz around him, like no doubt, because it's and Joaquin. I think Joaquin Phoenix has no buzz. Like I read more about Eddie Murphy getting nomination than what I read Joaquin getting in it for. I think it's incredible. I think he deserves it, but. I haven't read anything, I have, but not as much as Eddie Murphy. Maybe it's because it's what people are calling it, like the return to form. But I think Eddie Murphy has a chance like to start getting those critics awards and stuff, and it's gonna keep getting on. Also in the Critics' Choice, he's probably gonna get nominated because you usually get six nominations, so he's gonna be nominated for critics and Golden Globe. So I wouldn't doubt an Oscar nomination if he's getting love for the people.
So I pulled up a list of like what they already announced they're going for with musical comedies. So the musical comedies that we currently know are out there: Blinded by the Light, Booksmart, Cats, Dolemite Is My Name, Good Boys, Hustlers, Jojo Rabbit, Knives Out, Late Night, The Laundromat, Long Shot, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Peanut Butter Falcon, Rocket Man, Uncut Gems, What Men Want, Where'd You Go, Bernadette, and Yesterday.
Jeez.
Apparently The Two Popes is going for drama, which I definitely thought that was more in the comedy category, but apparently not.
Apparently, from what I heard, is that it has comedic moments, but at its heart, it is a drama, but it has a lot of comedic moments. But I think basically what you have for that one, you'll have DiCaprio, Sandler. Is Egerton? They're going. You said Rocket Man, right? Or did you?
Yeah, Rocket Man is in there. Yeah,
Egerton, Murphy, and then throw in Honey Boy, or
Honey Boy's not in this list.
Oh, it's not. I'm sorry, Peanut Butter Falcon, maybe.
Yeah.
Then Rogan for.
Or if Jojo Rabbit is really actually good, this could be.
Listen,
this could be a place.
I have no doubt people think it's really good. It's the question if it's going to be embraced by a larger audience outside of the critics that have seen it, because
I
mean, it's making money in the
It is.
I'm
Moment.
offended that you think Jojo Rabbit's not going to be good, Ryan.
Oh.
I'm not giving it no chance of being good. I'm just somewhat doubtful.
Okay.
But
right.
We will see.
Going away from that, quick announcement: the Gotham Independent Film Awards. I completely forgot about them. Were announced this past week as well too. And I'm going to quickly go through some of these, and I'm also going to say, yay the farewell, because that got a lot of love, and I'm happy about that. But Best Feature nominations were The Farewell. Bless you, Abe. I'm going to mute. If you know there's sneeze coming, I'll mute you just in case.
Do I sound better? Or do I sound...
You sound the same. You sound the exact same.
Do I sound better?
You sound the exact same.
All right.
Anyway, Best Feature: The Farewell, Hustlers, Marriage Story, Uncut Gems, and Waves. Look at that, guys. Waves still exists.
Waves exist.
Waves exist. Best Actor: Willem Dafoe, The Lighthouse, Adam Driver, Marriage Story. I apologize profusely. Aldous Hodge, Clemency. Actually, I think I got that. Wow. Andre Holland for High Flying Bird. Forgot about that movie. Andre Sandler. No way. Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems. Best Actress, Awkwafina, The Farewell. Elizabeth Moss, Her Smell. Mary Kay Place, Diane. Florence Pugh, Midsommar, or Midsommar, as I like to refer to it. And Alfre Woodard for Clemency. And finally, Best Screenplay, Lulu Wong, Farewell. Terrell Alva McCraney, High Flying Bird. Jimmy Fails, Joe Talbot, and Rob Richard, the last black man in San Francisco. Noah Baumbach, Marriage Story, and Ari Aster, Midsommar. Even though that's not right, I'm going to keep saying that.
You don't want to name the breakthrough actors? I'm kidding. You don't have to name the breakthrough actors.
I'm honestly surprised that Noah Jupe is on here, because I could have sworn that like he had A Quiet Place, or excuse me, she, or he. Wait, who was
he? He was in A Quiet Place. He was also in Wonder, and he's also in Suburbicon.
I for some reason I thought of him as Millicent Simmons, his sister. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. I don't know why. I was like, that's what came out last year. But either way, I guess you consider that as a breakthrough. I don't know.
I think he's awesome. So good for him.
He's also in Ford v Ferrari this year. Cool.
Is he really?
Yeah, I know, right?
He must have like a. This is going to sound weird. I was going to say he must have a thing with Matt Damon, but like,
whoa.
I don't.
Okay. All right. And with that, Malcolm has to go away. So we say goodbye, Malcolm. We're going to hard.
Bye.
He is gone. All right. So the Gotham Independent Film Awards literally has nothing what's to do with the Oscars, but just wanted to throw that out there because there's some awesome independent awards.
Well, usually the last few years, it's like at least one of these has been nominated for an Oscar of some kind.
I feel like that's less because the Gotham Independent Awards, and more of just it's a nice correlation, but there's no cause. Wait, is it causation or correlation? Wait, or
like last year, The Favorite was nominated for Best Feature and was nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
So none of the others were.
What you are saying is that we can at least expect one of these out of these, which I think
the year before that it was I, Tonya was not nominated for Best Picture, right?
Sadly not.
Yeah, so it was 2 out of 5. Call Me by Your Name and Get Out. The year before that, just one with Moonlight, which went on to win, obviously.
Went on to win it, so
Spotlight, which went on to win.
Wow. I was about to say,
Birdman and Boyhood and The Grand Budapest Hotel. 2014. They did a good job.
So what you're saying is we need to watch out at least for the Best Feature.
For at least one of them.
Which Marriage Story seems to be the best option at this moment. Unless
I think that sounds likely.
Which I think also, if there's a second one, probably either the Farewell or Waves, whichever one A24 decides to let be their pony.
Yeah, somehow I don't see Hustlers being a Best Picture now.
Hey, what do you think? As someone who has Jennifer Lopez in Best Supporting Actress,
someone who's actually seen Hustlers.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know why you don't believe me. She's like,
I do actually. But you're the one that brought it up to me originally.
Yeah. Okay. What was the question? I'm sorry.
No, do you think Hustlers has a shot at Best Feature if this a supporting actress best picture nomination if supporting actress pans out with Lopez?
No way, Jose. Like,
okay, just wanted to ask.
I mean, I really like the movie, but no, it's Jennifer Lopez.
Okay, Jennifer Lopez or bust, because somehow that's happening and that's the thing, and I need to see that still. All right. So that is the Gotham Independent Film Awards. There's some other ones, other nominations. I will link in the description just so we have those. Just as a highlight, breakthrough series long form, Chernobyl got in, and so did When They See Us. So stuff like that, really cool. See stuff like that I've actually seen make it in, which is always a nice thing to be able to say.
Mm-hmm. I think Apollo 11 is probably this boosted its chances for documentary feature.
Oh yes, that is the documentary that I've heard the most, I will say, so far this year. However, I also heard "Won't You Be My Neighbor" the most last year, and we all know how that turned out.
That is true.
So I literally can't tell you about the documentary feature and what's going to happen.
Although Free Solo was awesome, so I'm not gonna like totally rag on on that category. But
no, I'm going to rag on that it wasn't nominated though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the case. I'll rag on there. You guys messed up. You messed up. You got it.
Bad.
You done bad, Oscars. You done bad. All right. So we are down one. We are down the Crypt Keeper, but we are down to 3 horror icons. Horror icons. There we go. I'm from the South, so trying to say horror is like a variance with each sentence. So the Oscars and horror have had a really interesting relationship, but then again, the horror genre has had a very interesting relationship to quality filmmaking in general. Because most of the time, there's 2 camps. One, there's the brilliant indie films, or there's the ones that come along the way and become these critical darlings, and then there's the camp that kind of just comes out within the year and you kind of forget about it the next day. There is some middle ground that we have seen more recently, which I appreciate. But once upon a time, you had your Halloweens and you had your what's a 80s horror? I can't think of any. There was no film nominated for Best Picture that was considered a horror film in the 80s. Closest one was 1991, Silence of the Lambs, which is psychological horror and not slasher.
I mean, The Thing was pretty cool. It wasn't nominated, but
true.
I would have gone with The Thing.
That is true. See, and you can throw The Shining in there as a possibility as well too. Okay. There are some great quality horror films that have came out, even though back then at the time people didn't care for The Shining. It has stood the test of time now. You look back, and I'm going to tell you guys specifically all the movies that were nominated for Best Picture that are considered horror films by most individuals.
Okay,
y'all ready?
You're all ready for this?
All right. So, The Exorcist, 1973. Yep. That is the most well-known.
74, right?
I have 73 on here.
And well-deserved, too, okay. For what it was.
1975, Jaws, which some people consider that horror, some people don't. I still
also exceedingly well-deserved.
Very well-deserved for the nomination. And for a caveat, for Misery, while not for Best Picture, did win Best Actress for the great Kathy Bates.
That was a big jump in time.
That was. And you noticed...
you jumped over Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, that was 1990. 1991, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, wait. Misery came up before Silence of the Lambs.
I know, right? Yeah. I didn't know that.
What the fuck?
I know.
Pardon me.
No, it's...
for the unclean language there, but...
Listen, after your Papa John's rant, it's totally okay now putting that E there. And then we skip literally 20 years to 2011 for Black Swan, another psychological horror film.
Yeah.
And then we have Get Out 2017. Those are all your horror films in some capacity that have either that have been nominated for Best Picture, excluding Misery, which only won Best Actress and not nominated for Best Picture. So at this station, horror is not the most accessible film when it comes to the Oscars. And that's not saying most horror films are bad. There are some that are...
Water count as horror?
I'd call that more science
what
fiction.
Was that
Well, it's certainly more fantasy, but
yes.
Like, I don't know.
That's something I've thought about, but
Wait, was Pan's Labyrinth not nominated for Best Picture?
I don't think so.
I kind of thought it was.
Was it?
Like, I thought it was like the surprise, like foreign nominee for Best Picture.
If that is the case, then this list is very wrong, and I
that's not horror. It's fantasy. Well, I don't think it's good.
It was not. Wow.
It was not. Okay.
Oh, it got a ton of nominations, but
yeah.
Never mind. My next question was about to be: is there anything that was the closest it could have gotten? And I think this is our answer right here.
I mean, you jump to Del Toro, I think, if you're looking at the modern day, anyways.
Quality horror films. Well, Crimson Peak exists.
Like, I think that obviously we talked about it kind of at the top here. Like, John Carpenter could have easily had a couple. Like, you got to think that Halloween and The Thing, like, I mean, not that they had a chance at the Academy at that point in time. Not that I think they necessarily have a chance at the Academy at this point in time.
Yeah.
But they're good enough movies that I think that you could say that they are deserving of that position.
I will agree with that. But that being said, most of the films that they have gone with have been outside of Jaws, which is this rare, it's literally a very simplistic story about a giant shark eating people. But most of the other horror films have this psychological nature to them. There is this fear of the unknown, or this fear of the people themselves, a greater force. There's no like physical being unless you. Well, Silence of the Lambs kind of, but there's
it does make The Shining kind of a surprise.
Yeah, but wasn't that wasn't like well regarded when it first came out, right? Because it got like a Razzie or something.
No.
Really?
But when you look at those horror movies that have been nominated, most of them have something in common. It's that all of them were big hits. Like the studio, like the people were rallying around it. Like they were well known. Like people, well, I don't think that it was that much. When did It came out? 2017, like at the beginning, because then it didn't pan out. Like thought It could have a shot, and I think it would have been well deserved. And you see The Exorcist, biggest hit, then Jaws, biggest hit. The Silence of the Lambs, that it had legs like since February, and it just made like 300 million worldwide, like, which in 1991 it's like making 500, 600 million. The Sixth Sense, same, like it's in common. Get Out like cost 5 million and made I don't know. It's just a commonality that sure horror is cheap right now, which is that's I mean, no money doesn't mean you cannot make a good movie, but horror is usually like a introduction for filmmakers to the industry because it's the cheapest one, and like studios don't put as much money as anything else. And like you have the rare cases like The Conjuring, but those are films that at the beginning cost 10 million, but now cost 30 because of the.
Now I will add upon that. Well, actually, before I add upon that, The Shining was nominated for 2 Razzie Awards, Worst Director and Worst Actress, winning neither. But during that time, I know it was considered not well regarded, we'll say.
And then it was nominated for 4 Saturn Awards.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay, so the fantasy sci-fi horror community understood that movie was good. But
and I guess it was the movie.
Film community didn't. That would never happen today.
No, it's literally what we would call a movie ahead of its time. It is one of the most, in my mind, one of the most accurate descriptions of that term. The Shining was ahead of its time.
Yeah,
because if that came out today, and we didn't have The Shining, nothing prior to that. It came out in the 90s even. I think it would have a lot bigger response 10 years later than it maybe would have.
Yeah, well, it started, I'm looking at their Wikipedia page, which, by the way, The Shining has an absurdly long Wikipedia
Yes,
page.
It does.
And they're saying it kind of got a critical reevaluation in 87.
Which is interesting.
So, like 8 years later, 7 years later.
I think possibly, although Kubrick never actually had like the amount of love given to him by the Oscars in general, as compared
a lot of
to
his
other
movies
directors.
are very weird.
Yes, very good though.
I mean,
very good.
Clockwork Orange was nominated for Best Picture.
which is the weirdest thing ever. Out of all his films, including The Shining, The Clockwork Orange, which is a very disturbing film upon the human, basically the human condition, quote unquote.
I'd kind of call that horror.
Yeah, that's still.
It's a pretty horrifying movie.
Yeah, I would definitely call it very horrifying. Just even the opening alone in of itself, which is that long pullback. Nope, that's unsettling. That's unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kubrick was a very unsettling director in some capacities, but he'd never had that same love from the Oscars, I guess.
As a winner, maybe not, but 3 of his films were nominated for Best Picture: Barry Lyndon, A Clockwork Orange, and Doctor Strange. He was at least,
but he never won.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they respected him, but he didn't have the same groundswell of love that I guess he does now, is what I want to.
Well, maybe because he didn't want to campaign. He didn't
want to play the game.
Yeah.
Which I guess is also true. But anyway, back to the idea of horror. You mentioned Halloween as a possibility for John Carpenter, who's been another staple in the horror genre. They have never gone with a slasher. The closest thing to a slasher is what I would say is Jaws, and I wouldn't call that a slasher in the traditional sense.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But that's the closest thing that's ever happened. And while the quality of films, I think, of Halloween is a very good movie, would we give that a Best Picture nomination the year it came out? Which I need to figure out when that was, actually.
1978.
Thank you. I don't know much about. I don't know as much horror as I would like to admit, guys.
Isn't it 79?
78.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah,
78. So let us see. Actually, wait a minute. Was Psycho wasn't nominated for Best Picture? Was it? No,
I do not believe it was.
It was not Best Director, because that's Best Director, but no Best.
Hitchcock had a lot of fingers stuck in his eyes. By the Academy. No.
Oak. No again.
No.
Listen.
Rebecca won Best Picture.
What was that, Abe?
Rebecca won Best Picture. 1940.
That did. But then that was it.
Yeah. Probably because it was early in his career.
Yeah. But anyway, going to what else came out? I'm trying to figure out, film.
1978 was the year Deer Hunter won. So
okay.
I think That Jazz also was nominated that year, if I'm not mistaken. 1979 Oscar.
This is the sound of us furiously searching.
Okay, so the Deer Hunter, Coming Home.
Okay.
Heaven Can Wait, which is a Warren Beatty Midnight Express, and Anne and Mary Woman, which I've only seen one, which is the Deer Hunter, which is a really great movie, and I will not have given it. Oh, probably not given it, but as a nomination, I cannot talk about it because I have not seen Coming Home, Heaven Can Wait, and Midnight Express, and Anne and Mary Woman.
I haven't. Have I seen Heaven Can Wait? Why does that poster look so familiar? Huh. Okay. Well, looking at this at a vacuum, I do think besides the Deer Hunter, Halloween definitely has a lot more has a lot more of a cultural impact and following than it is. And if we're going by in a vacuum, would we have given that a Best Picture nomination to our knowledge? Because I haven't seen all these films. I've only seen Deer Hunter and Coming Home, so I can't.
Yeah, which I think that does say something about the Oscars. I think, while I think it's good, it's proper to exalt the Best Picture as having some importance. I think that it's interesting that, a lot of these films we haven't seen, and I just quickly Googled what the best films, quote unquote, of 1978 were, and think about all these movies that we watch more than these five. Obviously, Halloween, as we're discussing, Animal House, Dawn of the Dead, Superman, Grease, all of these movies, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the public goes back to watch all of these other touch points so much more than these other movies that have largely been forgotten. They may be good, and I've only seen a couple of them myself, And that's not to disparage them in any way, but I think that it says something about the Academy's ability to kind of foresee what is going to be an important piece of cinema, that they picked the movies that they did and picked the movies that they do.
Yeah, but I think that's also, you look back, hindsight's 2020. That's the biggest thing. And I think now we have a better shot at a horror film getting in because the expanded lineup. And we have seen that recently so far, more so than later, because we've had a lot more eclectic films being able to get in than just your traditional fare. We've had movies like, how far do I want to go? When did the expanded lineup happen? 2009?
Yeah, it was 2009.
Okay, so you have, well, that year, I guess
Avatar.
Avatar is what I would say, or maybe Up, because an animated film made it in for the first time in forever. District 9. District 9 is definitely one that was like, is literally a science fiction film with a meaning basically upon xenophobia and social segregation during the time period.
That is true.
Which I stuff like that I'm all for when we can try to diversify and bring in films that are actually not the type of Oscar bait that we have.
2009 has a really eclectic mix of movies. Actually,
it is. I know there's no like horror. I guess the closest thing you can do is District 9 and say that's horror, but that's not horror.
No.
It's horrendous about what happens to the main character, and you slowly watch that, but that's not horror.
Yeah,
it's body horror in some scenes, but. Tis not the same. I do think that we are at a place now where we are at a better spot of getting some horror films in, but I don't think. Do we have any films this year that could possibly get into the horror best picture race or the best picture race in general? Because I don't think there are.
No, but Us was the closest thing, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, that's.
Yeah, and I mean, we can't constantly be relying on Jordan Peele to be the only. And I mean, like, maybe. Like, I'm not saying that's necessarily I guess we would have been relying on, like, the John Carpenters of the world back in the day. Yeah. I think, actually, no. I want to argue that Joker is kind of a horror movie. Because that movie is scary as hell.
That's psychological horror. I would definitely agree with you there.
So, that movie has a chance.
That has a better shot than Us, I'll say. Which has a much better shot than Us. I will add it is horror comes in very different types of. There is the big genre, and as we all know, there are subgenres. Psychological horror is definitely the Academy's flair. It's their bread and butter more so than like a slasher or than a I can literally only think of apparently 2 horror films like body horror.
Yeah.
What else is there besides like slasher and psychological?
Haunted
features.
Thank you, haunted. Okay, haunted. Stuff along those lines. Did the Poltergeist get anything the year it came out, or is that just nothing? Okay. For some reason that was in my mind. I don't know why. Huh. Interesting. I 1982. All right. Yeah, horror is a really interesting mix when it comes to wanting to get in and when it wants to get into the Oscars, because they will sometimes pick and choose. I mean, you look back also in both Misery and Black Swan, which their box offices weren't the best. They had both their lead actresses won the best actress that year. Mm. And I think maybe for a horror film to really elevate itself, it's going to have to rise above. And as Abe said, be very financially successful. Or B, it's going to have a really like a performance that'll rise. It'll carry the actual movie from mediocrity or just from.
Yeah.
Manning, I don't want to correct you, but Black Swan did 330 million worldwide.
It did it?
Yes,
wow.
So you wrong in that. So I think the constant is that like it needs to be a incredible horror movie. Of the ones you mentioned, I think most of them are really good, or I love them. So it needs to have money, because like Mother last two years, like
it depends correct me.
Just in just imagine a director, like someone that is well regarded. Let's say Quentin Tarantino decides to make horror, that he instantly puts in a conversation. It doesn't come out of nowhere, like Get Out. Even Black Swan, like they're not. I can never pronounce his name. Does anyone if
Darren Aronofsky?
Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah, that guy. He's well regarded. He had The Wrestler 3 years before that as a potential Oscar contender, Mickey Rourke nomination, and he should have won. I'm sorry, Sean Penn.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I think that I think that's a good point, Abe.
And also, you have to look like it's like those films, like Guillermo del Toro said it, like in his speech for Best Director, or Best Picture, like they're taking chances, like John Rice taking chances, and as much those get nominated, like The Shape of Water was a big breakthrough. Like,
Yeah.
it's not crazy to think that a fish fucking movie can win Best Picture now, you know? Like,
And here we
those are the things, you know, like, don't be surprised, like, in, I don't know, 2030 or 2040, you get 2 horror nominations. And especially right now, because horror is, like, it's more highly regarded. Like, I get excited to watch a horror movie. Like, 5 years ago, I didn't. Like, I want to see, like, what, like, even those small horror movies like Blumhouse is doing and everything, some of them are really good. I say Happy Death Day.
Yep.
And stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I think like the past is like the moneymaker, but like when last year, Hereditary, what's the name of the actress? Toni Collette. People were clamoring. Yeah, she got nominations from a ton of critics. So right, and she just didn't break through for it. But also, see, Hereditary, not big box office numbers. So I think for horror or any genre to break through, it's like needs to make money. Sadly, needs to, and it's not those independent films that still make money, but like they don't get the recognition they deserve.
Although we do have to somewhat be honest that this has been, relative to all the years that have been around us, a less good year for horror.
I'm trying to think of like, I mean, Midsummer or Midsommar is like the only one, and that's controversial in and of itself.
So Midsummer, Chapter 2, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I wouldn't call the Lighthouse. I think it's kind of
Annabelle Comes Home.
I like most of those movies.
Child's Play,
Crawl.
Us, Zombieland.
I like the movie too. I think
The Curse of La Llorona.
Abe loves that movie.
Happy Death Day to You, Brightburn,
A
Hole in the Ground.
Jeez.
47 Meters Down, Uncaged.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one.
The Lighthouse is on here. It's a horror movie. Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of horror, and I mean, you see
Doctor Sleep, Pet Sematary. Oh, The Velvet Buzzsaw. That was
I forgot about that. Yeah,
that movie's so crazy.
You mentioned Doctor Sleep. Like all the reactions I read, it like it's positive as F. So that might have a chance, but I don't think so. It has because they probably won't push it.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna have much of a chance, but I hope it's good. That's all I hope.
Yes, I do hope it's good too, because visually it looks beautiful. I love the muted orange and blue tones that they're doing. Teal, I should say. It's very scary, but it doesn't look a thing like scratch that. It definitely has a different feel than The Shining, but it also is reminiscent, which I'm excited for.
Have you watched all those posters that he put on? It's like, hey, this is a sequel to The Shining.
Yes, they let you know that.
Yeah, like really. Well, I mean, those have like this year hasn't been good. People were hoping for the people like.
Well, they had to get that message out there because they were like, we can't call this movie The Shining 2.
The Shining again. The Shining shines again.
The Shining Strikes Back.
The Shining Strikes Back. Cue the music. Oh boy. I'm also looking right now at just kind of like the amount of horror films that we have, I guess, had in the past couple years. Just from like recently, we've had The Conjuring, we've had Hereditary, we've had The Witch, we've had A Quiet Place, we've had It Follows, Cabin in the Woods, The Babadook. I guess you can kind of count the Blair Witch Project when it first came out because that was a revolutionary thing for its time. You can kind of say the first Paranormal Activity because that was also a big thing when it first came out. That's just kind of like a few that I'm looking at the moment.
Saw.
Saw, Sinister, The Ring, The Descent.
The Ring is low key actually a really good movie, but
it's like Shaun of the Dead. That's a horror comedy. So
hey, why not?
Why not? I mean, there has been a very good collection of horror films that have come out recently. I know for me, I'm a scaredy cat, so I will get scared, but I love horror and what can be done, and I'm looking forward to stuff like with the Ari Asters, Jordan Peele's, Guillermo del Toro's, what they can do. There has to be other like big horror directors out there.
So do you?
Mike Flanagan, who directed Doctor Strange.
Yes, The Haunting of Hill House, which is brilliant. Yeah. A brilliant series.
The guy that directed Shazam, that's also James Wan, which I think he's doing that Mother movie right now.
Well, I'll bring up the question. Was there any movie in the last 20 or so years, we can go back to the 90s as well too, or go back whenever, where you would give it a Best Picture nomination, a horror film, where you would throw that into the conversation as well too, for you personally?
In what time span are we going?
Let's go with anywhere, but then we can also, let's pick two. Let's pick all time, and then let's kind of narrow it down for like this horror resurgence we've had since the 2000s, we'll say. For the last 20 years, and then of all time, two separate occasions. So while you guys are figuring that out, I can automatically say Psycho. Psycho is that one that kind of got, as Ryan was saying, the poke in the eye. That was one that kind of set the tone for most horror films as we know them today, in the slasher genre at least, and subversion of expectation. That just kind of was the one we think about when we think about Hitchcock. Even though I think Rear Window or Rope or maybe even Vertigo is his best, Psycho is his most iconic, and I would gladly throw that one in there personally. Although if I had to take one out, which one would I take out? Actually, let me see what was actually even released that year. The Apartment. Okay, no, I'm keeping The Apartment. The Alamo, Elmer Granty. I have no idea what Elmer Granty is. Let's take away Elmer Ganty. What in the world is Elmer Ganty? Sons and Lovers and the Sundowners. The Alamo too, but I've heard of that at least. Maybe that's just because I'm from Texas. I live in Texas, so. But yeah, no, I would throw in Psycho, and if I want to go specifically for one from more of now, see, the big thing is trying to figure out what you want to take away, because I might want to put in the Babadook and what that managed to do, but I can't exactly say that right offhand. You guys have anything in particular while I figure out what I want to take out for Babadook?
Look, Manny, I don't know what's taken out because I've seen only 3 of the Best Picture nominees of 1987. But 1986, the year. I have to say, probably one of my favorite horror movies, probably my favorite, if you don't call The Silence of the Lambs of Horror, is David Cronenberg's The Fly.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
I think that film is exceptional. I think Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis in them, like, my favorite top 10 favorite performance of all time from both of them. I will say it. Look, Platoon, which is a really good movie, and I understand why it won. Children of the Lesser Good, which is I remember seeing it a while ago. I was in this William Hurt watching movies from the 80s because he was a big actor back then. He still is, but like I remember seeing that and thought it was fine. And I've seen Hannah and Her Sisters, which is a Woody Allen film, which is pretty good, but I wouldn't put it above. I wouldn't put any of these 3 films above The Fly, honestly. And The Mission in a Room with View, which The Mission is a movie where Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons star in about something, which I believe is, I don't know, something about Catholics in the 18th century in South America. And A Room with a View is a movie with Maggie Smith, Judi Dench. Well, probably another British movie. So
I get that the British films have us are theme.
But like The Fly, it's one of those films. I think the direction, script, and you feel for the characters. Probably like those characters, like with David Cameron, like when he becomes like full on and he pretty much loses his life, like it hits. I think I kind of cried watching it. So that will be my pick. I can't think of another one right now.
Well, while you're thinking, I will say I have found the movie I want to replace for the Babadook, and that probably would be American Sniper that year, or Theory of Everything. I'm trying to decide between those two at the moment. Nothing against those films; they're solid films, but I think that movie, if you want to go eclectic, would probably be one that goes against the Academy's grain while also having a greater story to tell. Because horror can be a great way, just like sci-fi, just like fantasy, to tell stories, more intimate stories, but something with a twist, something as a receptacle to tell different stories, but have the same emotional meaning. Because at its core, the Babadook is literally a movie, psychological movie, just basically about, depression and fighting that and being able to overcome that. And I think that was a very well done film. But if I don't want to stick that, Conjuring is super close, and I'd probably replace American. Actually, scratch that. I would probably definitely replace American Hustle, because hate that movie.
Oh my god! I love those
hate that
movies.
I agree that The Conjuring is better than American Hustle.
Yes,
but American Hustle is still very good.
No, I'm not sure. I only saw it once.
There are worse movies that year.
Oh, absolutely. But considering what happened and the 10 nominations it got, it just made me hate it so much more, because it's literally just this. I think it's a mess. I think it's an utter mess with some great performances, but a mess.
I mean, all time, obviously, my replacement is Alien in 1979.
I forgot about Alien.
And looking at the list, I'm probably going to replace Norma Ray. Because I think the only thing about that movie that people really care about is the lead performance and the song. And I just don't think that a Best Picture makes.
No.
And you can't really, like the others, All That Jazz won the Palme d'Or. It's a good movie. Apocalypse Now is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Breaking Away is also a pretty good movie. So
that's a solid year in comparison.
Norma Ray, you're out. You're out of here.
Alien, I might switch actually, but no, Psycho.
Psycho's a good choice.
I'm with you in spirit. I'll say that.
Rear Window would also have been a cool Hitchcock choice.
Was that horror though, or?
I think Rear Window is horror.
Well, I would say more thriller than. Like, if we are going with, if we consider that, it's considered mystery thriller if we're going specifically. But if we were going with horror, I would agree.
So, do you guys think, given that the Academy and other awards shows are unlikely to kind of embrace these genre pieces, do you think that we as a film community could do more to exalt shows like the Saturn Awards or something similar, something that isn't like the MTV Movie Awards, to kind of get our fix for rewarding these films that we actually go out and watch?
I mean, we already kind of do with other genres, but like what I've seen from the little film community that I'm in, it's like people really don't. I mean, I know like horror is very popular, but a lot of people really don't care about horror. Like, they're scary when horror movies are really, well, I can't see myself, but horror movies are not really that scary, which it's hard to do when people don't go watch it, even though they still make money. Like those that break through that an 8 chapter 2 like makes 600 million and the first 8 makes 900 maybe, which I don't know what you can do, because like that love like fandom love comes from like those, like Black Panther did last year. What, I don't know, let me think, what I think Mad Max did 4 years ago, so it's hard to think about it.
Yeah. Mad Max was one that kind of like that was a shocker in the at the time. So yeah. stuff like in retrospect, it makes perfect sense. But
and to its credit, Get Out was too. Like, yeah, it's not that none of these movies can ever succeed, but I just wonder if if it might be more fruitful to have a secondary outlet that we view as highly as we do these other awards, that deals with these sorts of things. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna need.
But that's also potentially very unrealistic.
It's the movies. Anything can happen, right? All right, no, but I do think honestly, I'm looking at the Saturn Awards now. They need to
make some better choices.
Yeah, they need to make some better choices.
Like they've made some good choices, but they could do to make some better choices. Dracula Untold beating the Babadook is a problem.
Wait, I'm sorry. They did what? Just credit them. Forget it. We have to start over. Just start over.
Okay, but like A Quiet Place winning is fine.
Get
Out winning is fine.
Yeah.
Don't Breathe winning is fine. I would have picked The Conjuring 2, but whatever. Crimson Peak is fine. I think a lot of people would say It Follows should have won, but sure.
I'm not gonna upset. It's gorgeous. I will say that.
2014 is stupid. The Conjuring was a good choice. Cabin in the Woods is a good choice. Although Zero Dark 30 was for some reason nominated for Best Horror.
I'm
film.
Sorry. What?
Which?
Why is Argo and Zero Dark 30 in Best Horror Film?
I'm sorry, but like I think that was the argument of Brian about Joker. Like, really messed up sides of society in a way.
Was Zero Dark 30 as messed up as Joker?
No.
No. Like just kind of in different levels of the same.
Like the girl with the dragon tattoo. That is messed up kind of in the same way Joker is. So fine.
Like I can get behind. Yeah, that's psychological still.
Yeah,
in a way.
I think Black Swan should have won, but Let Me In I didn't see. So no.
I haven't seen that either. Romantic horror film. How have I not? What?
But overall, not a terrible decade. It just made some very bad choices.
I actually got to see Let Me In now. I've never even seen that, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, no. Well, despite that atrocity of 2014, yeah, I think this is going to be sacrilegious considering the podcast that we're on, but I don't think the Oscars are the end-all be-all of awards. Yes, they mean a lot, but they are by no means the arbiter at which we tell quality of film, because some years they miss, as we've known before. Going back to, as we just said, go back to Rear Window or Psycho or Hitchcock, when they poked him in the eye most of the time. They miss sometimes, and that's okay, because it's basically made up of humans, and hindsight's 2020. We'll look back and be like, hey, this should have been here. And maybe one day we'll look back and be like, we'll give an honorary award to this film, or maybe we'll think of some way to honor films of the past that deserve something. But at this juncture, we got to live with our choices, people. And some choices better than others, sadly. I do hope in the future, though, that we can see more films like Get Out recently, where it will be more genre-focused films with fantasy, with science fiction. Because, listen, Blade Runner 2049 was closer than people think to an Oscar nomination. Like, for real. Like, Villeneuve got in for Best Director at BAFTA. He was close. Not saying he was the closest, but when you have genre films get in, it's why we expand the lineup in the first place, for diversity's sake, to be able to reward all these movies, because maybe in 10 years time that lineup will change, but at this moment in time, I'm just kind of hoping we get more quality movies, because you can tell great movies, you can tell great stories with these genre specified movies. So any last thoughts you guys have about horror and the Oscars, just horror in general, or any genre pieces?
People should watch more horror. You know, I don't watch like a ton of horror. Like I don't watch those indie pieces, but I make myself go and watch those big releases of horror just to see what to watch it. Sometimes you get surprised. Like 2 years ago, Happy Death Day. I will say it again. That movie was great.
Have any of you guys seen Ready or Not?
Nope. Missed.
I was about to say, because speaking of that, we can go see that, but like, nope, can't, because I missed that. But Dr. Sleep is coming out this week worldwide. So for those who, I'm assuming you probably will need to have seen The Shining before you see that.
Opens up to the 8th right here, right?
I have the 31st, October the 31st.
Really?
That's when I have, at least. Well, although it makes sense because it's kind of a Halloween release, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I have tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow. Yeah. I forgot they might. I forgot they do the night before technically, but it does open the 31st on Halloween. So get your scare on, everybody.
I mean, Terminator. This is not an argument for the show, but Terminator caveated. There's like 5 releases this week, and there's another 5 next week.
Actually, what is coming out?
Yikes.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna say Box Office Mojo has all that, but anyway, that is not. Does
it anymore?
Does it?
Goes wide on.
Have you been on it recently?
Oh,
yes. What happened?
He's gonna be caught, but this is the saddest thing I've seen in years. This is my heart. Like,
this is a real deep depression.
Yes. This is like what happened to all the creators of a basic site that was stuck in the 90s but still work.
Wait, what happened to Box Office Mojo? Wait.
Manning discovers on air the Box Office Mojo has been purchased by IMDb.
When did this happen? I literally checked Box Office Mojo last week.
No, it was already purchased, but they just
incorporated. It was purchased.
Ew! What is this design? I mean, okay, fine, that's cool.
Just wait to discover all the things that are behind the paywall.
I'm sorry, they have a paywall. Well, this is unfortunate.
And with that, we have killed Manning's spirit, and
guys, cinema is dead.
Got to the end of the show, concluding that Doctor Sleep opens on November 8th. I don't know why Manning gets it a week early. Maybe it's an early screening. But with that, we conclude Gone with the Wind this week because Manning is shocked.
Listen, somehow, some way, we are getting Doctor Sleep tomorrow. So
let me check my local theater, and I'm tell
curious
you
now.
When.
Okay, this makes no sense. The release date worldwide is October 31st, but in the United States, it's November 8th?
Thursday? Look. Oh, I don't know if you can see.
I can't see. I just see a white. For all those who don't know, he's attempting to show me
Thursday,
his phone.
November 7th.
I need to show his screen share because right now.
Wait, they're showing Jesus is King in IMAX.
Wait, what? What?
What?
How? Did this show Kanye West's face or something?
What's that movie about?
It's Kanye West's album.
It's Kanye West's new album.
It's literally just his album. No,
I'm gonna say Doctor Sleep is not open near me.
You know what I get this week? It's Parasite.
You get Parasite. That's exciting.
Parasite's not a horror film, is it? Would that count as our horror film of the year? You want to spoil anything, or are you not sure? Both?
I make no comment.
Just look at the IMDb and if it takes for it.
Oh no,
I'm not looking at the IMDb.
No. Okay, so there is an early showing, just one tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. I don't get that.
They're probably doing like a special, like, ooh, it's a spooky, thing.
So I could go see that tomorrow night. I can't because I have to go to work.
Doctor Sleep.
Anyways.
Drama thriller. Okay. Well, anyway, now we've established that. What was that?
Are we supposed to watch Harriet?
You know what? If we can next week, by next week, we're not going to be able to see it. But the following week, yes, because November 8th is when it's going to be released wide for me, at least.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be here on November 12th.
Oh, okay. Well,
because I'm going home and I'm returning on November 12th. But
nope. Hey, you know what? We'll discuss logistics afterwards.
After the show.
After the show, we'll do all that. Then you can tell everyone right now where they can find you. Right now, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AbrahamF25, where I usually don't tweet stuff. You can find me on Facebook at Abraham A. Flores. Please do not add me if you don't know me. I don't care about your life, and you shouldn't care about mine either. And you can follow me on Instagram at Abraham Flores 25.
What a wonderful guy. And your favorite horror film, Abe?
Favorite horror film, I say Silence of the Lambs, if that's considered horror. If not, it's The Black.
It is. And Ryan, where can I find you, and what's your favorite horror film?
You can find me at rmckenna19 or maybe next week in Mexico. And
where are you going?
No comment. I can tell you that off air.
I was about to say, wait a minute.
My favorite horror film is Alien.
See, now that you've mentioned Alien, I can't get that out of my head. And I'm like, I might want to put that as a horror film because that's a horror film. That's definitely a genre-based horror film. But anyway, I'm Manning. You can find me at Cine_Man on Twitter. That's CINE_MANN. As well, YouTube channel Manning Franks. Slowly but surely putting together the next video essay for you guys. But I have a full-time job, and it's hard to kind of have a social life, do that for fun, and a podcast, and then also work, and then also sleep at a decent hour. Life's hard, guys. Life is a juggling act that you're just trying to make it by. But my favorite horror film, man, Alien's really good. You're making me really switch and change my tune over here. I might have to say Alien, but Psycho probably edges it out ever so slightly just from a technical standpoint, which I love. But I love those little claustrophobic horror films. They're really, really good. And again, thank you all for watching this episode, this spooky, spectacular episode of Gone with the Wind. And we will see you all in the next episode. This is where I put in the Vincent Price laughter because I can't.